Welcome to Ole Walls House. It's me. It's your man. It's your main man. It's Ole Walls. And I'm back with you. Episode number 121. 121 coming your way. A full year into video podcasts. We're bringing you the next episode of Ole Walls House. Got a fun show coming. Before we do that, you know the deal with the housekeeping. If you guys could you please rate, review, comment, subscribe, and share the pod? That goes a long way. Also, if you're looking for 20% off Liquid IV, I got the hookup. I got a promo code. That promo code is OWH. O for Ole, W for Walls, H for House. You know Liquid IV. I like to use it every day. I like that convenient little package. You dump it in 16 ounces of water, and you're looking at twice the hydration of water alone, 3 times as many electrolytes as your leading sports drinks. All sorts of different flavors. I'm a Concord grape guy myself. And you know, Liquid IV believes in equitable access of water across the globe and have donated over 39 million servings. So again, if you're looking for Liquid IV at 20% off, you can go to the link in the show notes below, or you can go to liquidiv.com, promo code OWH, O for Ole, W for Walls, H for House. Okay, fun show coming. We got MJ back to kind of recap the draft for us. We got to talk some Guardians baseball. We got to talk my passing thoughts. We got another segment of the OWH Albums segment there. We're doing Kid Rock today, ladies and gentlemen. Kid Rock, Devil Without a Cause. So without any further ado, let's get to MJ. Draft recap time. We had a pretty fun draft. So MJ's back with us, gracing us with his presence once again. MJ, how you doing today, pal?
I'm doing great. How are you, Wally?
I'm wonderful. I had to slog through watching the draft on my phone in the airport, and then in about the second to last row of the airplane, with 2 other pretty big gentlemen sitting next to me. I was shoved into a window seat. So I watched the draft like this on a TV screen that was about this big.
Jeez.
But I did get to watch it, and then, was listening to it on my drive home after I landed. But interesting draft. Obviously the biggest highlight, 6 quarterbacks in the first 12 picks. I think they went, 15? Or 14 consecutive offensive players. Let me double check right here. 13. Sorry. No, 14. 15. 14. I'm right on 14 this time. The first defensive player was Laitiu Latu, the edge rusher who went to the Colts. So pretty crazy. So MJ, I know you've got some grades for us and some kind of some thoughts, but what's an overall thought?
Yeah,
what you saw on Thursday.
We talked
Friday
about it.
And Saturday.
Yeah, we talked about it before. Just how heavy this class was for offense and how it may push some defensive guys down or offensive linemen down that maybe we talked about maybe possibly not being there. And with Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. going as high as they did, I mean, it really set off like this kind of ripple effect of just some really good players dropping farther than I think a lot of people thought it was going to happen. So it was very, very interesting. I never expected that many offensive players to go, but a lot of teams benefited from it and got some really, really good players. And even the top 10 guys were really, really good. And this draft was so heavy. The first 3 rounds, that's kind of, I think, what we're going to focus on a little bit today. But it was such a good class, and that doesn't come around very often. And some teams, I think, are really going to look back at this class and be like, this is why we're being successful in year 2026 or 27.
So an interesting, I think, thing that interesting in the way it played out is I think a lot of people thought there was going to be some movement up near the top. I know you kind of thought there was maybe going to be a trade at the 4 spot with the Cardinals. Maybe, somebody else could have done something. So no trades until we get to 10. But, everything felt like it was going to plan for everybody and felt like it was in rhythm until the 8th pick.
Yep.
Picks 1 through 7. I think everyone was like, okay. Yep. Makes sense. And then we get to 8. And then the Falcons.
Yeah.
The Falcons take Michael Penix Jr. They have just signed Kirk Cousins to a deal that he is guaranteed $100 million, or like 96 for to be exact, or something like that. But it's like $62.5 million in the first year. The second year is totally guaranteed, and I think there's like a $10 million roster bonus for year 3. So they're pretty into Kirk Cousins for 2 years. And if not, like a third year. And their GM's like going around talking about like, oh, we're hoping we have a quarterback controversy in 4 years. I'm like, what? Like, I don't get it, man. Like, if you're, and I know that you can see things at different times. You can see draft stuff. You can see pro days. You can see combines. But this one's a head scratcher. I don't get it. Like, if you're so in love with Michael Penix, why do we go out and sign Kirk Cousins in the offseason?
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. It was one of those things I mentioned last week before the draft. Like 3 or 4 months ago, I had Penix as my probably second or third quarterback. And then after watching and hearing everything and reading more, I was like, well, there's not a lot of teams interested in him at the second or third quarterback. So I really was like, well, I must be, obviously I'm not a pro scout, but so I must be really wrong on this. So I'm going to kind of tip my hat to these guys. But from everything that I saw afterwards or even during the draft, especially on day 2, is Atlanta had him as the second best quarterback in the draft to Caleb Williams. So I guess if you're the Falcons or if you're a Falcons fan, you have to sit there and be like, well, their second best player on their board fell to them in their eyes to number 8. And they're like, and maybe their thing was, we're just going to take the best player. I don't think they took the best players in the draft. I don't think their second round pick was a spot where they could have they should have taken somebody else. Their third round pick wasn't very good. Like I think they reached on a lot of picks, and it's too bad because before the draft I told you last week I think the Falcons are in a really good spot to build around Cousins for this next year or two, and I think he's a relatively underrated quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I do too.
And I just it didn't make sense. It's a winnable division. Like go.
That's the other thing I was thinking. It's not a very good division.
Yeah,
it's not like there's juggernauts in it, and like that Kirk Cousins can't win you the NFC South.
Yeah,
with a little help. And also, now they've got 2 quarterbacks who are both injury prone.
Yeah.
Like Michael Penix has been through the ringer. This doesn't make this just I saw that I'm on the plane and I audibly say to myself, what?
Yeah.
Like as that happens. And I'm wearing headphones like plugged in, and the guy next to me goes, what happened in the draft? And he was watching hockey. I'm like, the Falcons just took Michael Penix. He's like, the Falcons? The Falcons? I was like, I swear to God, man.
Yeah. It was shocking, and I had some friends over, and Bill was over, and like we all like audibly were like, "What the hell's going? Like what?" None of us expected it. Yeah, shout out Chase. But none of us were ready for that one. But it did send off kind of just like this odd thing of guys dropping. It felt like a little bit, but. Teams.
Yeah, and then it leads to, it seems like the Vikings had kind of locked in on J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of made them make a move.
Yeah.
Like, I think it worried them, so they go make the move. And then the Broncos go and draft Bo Nix 12th?
That was to me, it didn't get the headlines because I think the Kirk Cousins effect does it. But it didn't, that one surprised me more. Like, I think drop back and get Bo Nix if you want to. Get an extra pick somewhere. Do something. I thought the Broncos were kind of lost for a while. I think they just kind of panicked and were like, this is our guy. We didn't get the top 4 or 5 guys. Let's just go get this guy because we want to almost please our fan base a little bit. We got a quarterback.
They have to have a quarterback on a rookie contract right now.
Yeah.
Like just the way their cap sets up.
Yep. They're still paying Wilson.
A fucking shitload. What else in the first round kind of jumped out at you before we kind of get to, ranking each team?
Yeah. Jackson Powers Johnson not going in the first round surprised me. I know it's not like a flashy pick. I really liked him. And then I heard there was maybe some injury concerns, some medical stuff going on, which then, obviously like the casual fan doesn't always get to hear that stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he was all the way down to 44th.
yeah.
It's funny when you look at the draft board in the second round. The second round was nutty with like just the way it's like traded pick 30. If you just start at the top of the second round, traded pick, stayed in their spot, traded pick, stayed in their spot, traded pick, stayed in their spot, traded pick. So in the first 15 picks, only 3 picks were originally slated to be there. Obviously, that's not all people trading up. There's some trading down that you catch that stuff too. But like, there was a lot of movement in the back half of the first and then into the second round. Like, that's where like the movement we thought was going to kind of happen early did kind of happen late. So I mean, shoot, if you go from the 10th pick on, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks that were swapped. Again, sometimes that's just a pick swap. It's not like there were 9 different deals, but there was a lot more movement from 10 through the first half of the second round.
Yeah, and I thought I think we nailed the whole offensive line thing in the first round. There was a ton of those guys that went. One thing that surprised me too, especially on the back end a little bit, is the back end of the first and second round was that where teams had their corners stacked up a little bit. I thought that was kind of interesting, with some guys dropping, Mitchell, even Arnold dropping a little bit too. Like, I really thought those are guys that were going to be in the top 8 to 15 picks, and they were in the 20s. And then there were some other guys. I thought wide receiver was also interesting on how teams kind of stack that, because it was a deep class. So you get guys that like one team might really like and others didn't have in their top 10. So it was interesting to see kind of where teams had their guys ranked and stacked on their boards.
Yeah, and a flashy guy that fell into that second round at corner, Cooper DeJean.
Yep.
Who the Packers were kind of in a slot. I think they were drafted 41st, and he went 40th. They were kind of in the slot to get him, and they ended up trading back, and the Eagles come up and get him. But, I mean, I don't know a ton about him other than he's got a great basketball mixtape, and he's going to be a white guy playing quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. And he's a guy, too, that we talked about. Like, I had heard that some teams had him first or second on their corner or safety list.
Yeah.
And, like, I thought that could potentially be a surprise for teams like the Raiders or the Colts at 15. Even, like, Minnesota.
Yeah, only 2 corners taken in the first.
Yeah, Minnesota. I just thought like a team in the high to mid teens may take him because they had him ranked high, but that was another big surprise, him dropping out of the top 32.
Yeah, he was the 3rd corner off the board, and again, like just the way this draft fell with the first 14 picks being offensive, it really shoved like some defensive guys way down. I mean, Kool-Aid was a guy that we talked about maybe sneaking into the back of the first, and he fell 8 picks into the second round too. So, all right, why don't we go into some teams? Why don't we alternate?
Okay.
You said you had your top 5 and your worst 5 ranked.
I do.
So let's go with your 5th best. I mean, not your worst. I don't know how to say that, but like, the best of your bottom 5.
Yes.
Let's alternate and go.
In fifth place.
Here we go.
So you want the best first?
Yeah, let's do the best first.
All right. So I will shout out a couple teams. I had 5 teams kind of in my honorable mention. I thought I kind of ranked all 32. The Lions were at 10 for me. I thought the Lions had a nice draft. The Bears were at 9, especially if Caleb Williams hits. That's going to be a home run. A Dunze at 9. That's going to be
I was going to say, if you pair Caleb Williams with Roma Dunze and that works out, you look like a fucking genius coming out of this.
And they're loaded. They helped out with the offensive line. They still have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. Like that, That's
a nice receiving core for a rookie.
They're in a good spot. If the defense can hold up and Williams hits, that's going to be dangerous in Chicago. The Rams at 8, I thought, for having a draft for once, I thought they were good.
They had over 2 picks.
Yeah, Commanders, it's hard to stay away from teams that have so many picks in the top 100. They were seventh for me, and the Raiders were at 6. I thought the Raiders had. I actually graded them with an A minus, so I thought the Raiders did a good job too. So my number 5 in my top 5 best drafts were the Green Bay Packers. I thought I gave them an A. Nothing very flashy. I didn't love the Jordan Morgan pick at what was it, 25?
Yeah.
But
Seems like there might be a little bit of. I'm stealing some words from the Big Cat here. Seems like he might be a little bit of a project. The Big Cat is telling me.
Yeah,
and he's had some injury issues himself. So,
and I really tried to stay away from like thinking about what teams had already. I just tried to be like, all right, they draft him at 25. Most of the things I've seen or things that I felt like had him around like 30. So it was a little bit of a reach, but like that's kind of how I graded it. I loved the Cooper pick in the second round. I think he's a really good linebacker.
I think he starts for them this year.
Yeah.
Like I think he's playing a lot of downs.
I think Bullard, the safety from Georgia, could really help them too. Kind of slide into that Savage role a little bit.
Yep, and they're definitely looking for someone to pair back there with McKinney, and he seems to be a nice compliment for him.
And then I really liked the Marshawn Lloyd pick. I think he could be a sneaky good kind of just 4 to 6 snaps in his rookie season a game behind Jacobs and the big guy there. Help me out.
Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan. I think he could really help. I didn't love the Hopper, Tyron Hopper, the linebacker from Mizzou, but I get it. You want some depth there in a position that you probably feel like you're maybe getting a little older or help out on special teams. And they had so many picks. I just think...
Just to cut you off a second
go
here.
ahead.
I mean, it was very odd. Like, when you look back at it, especially once they got through when they grabbed Marshawn Lloyd, which seemed like they saw value in a guy who maybe had dropped a little bit. And he seems like a guy who can be a good kind of not that oh shit. Who'd we just I've drawn a blank. The running back we just grabbed.
Oh, Jacobs?
Yes, thank you, Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
Not that Josh Jacobs is like an AJ Dillon type, like a bruiser, but like having like that speed back to throw in for third downs out of the backfield. I don't know if he can catch. I don't know that much about him, but just kind of a juxtaposition of like your typical back. So that seemed like they kind of grabbed somebody, but otherwise, like if you look at their draft, they were going for 3 things. They were getting linemen, they were getting safeties, and they were getting linebackers.
Yep.
And I think they did it almost to the detriment of maybe some other needs they had. And again, I know you're kind of not so much doing that. This is just me as the Packer fan here. I thought we could have used a little help on the D line. We didn't grab an edge rusher at all. I know they kind of like Lucas Van Ness, but like, and Xbari is like the other like edge rusher. Like I thought there was some edge help that needed to get done. I thought the inside backers, from what I've read, both of these backers are kind of outside linebackers, off the ball linebackers. So I thought they missed a little bit of a chance to grab some like an edge rusher of some sort and some sort of middle linebacker or interior defensive lineman as they were just loading up on offensive linemen. And I get the offensive linemen because they're like, we're going to be deep at offensive line. And if someone goes down, we're going to have people to plug in and we're going to have people who are flexible. I know that was the thing with Jordan Morgan was he's a flexible guy. Like they can move him. He can maybe play tackle. He can probably for sure play guard in the NFL and that he can go both sides of the line. So overall, I'm relatively happy. I thought we missed on maybe a couple things later in the draft. I don't know that we needed a fucking quarterback in the 6th or 7th round, whatever. We grabbed that guy, but that there's reasons that I'm not paid for this. So.
And you got to think like if Jordan Love is who everybody kind of assumes that he's going to be now, for and a year ago we weren't talking like this, but as long as he continues down this road he's on now, they're in a really, really good spot. And like their team's young, it's full of talent. So for how many picks they had, I thought they just did a really good job not reaching for guys. And when I hear you say like, yeah, we could have used, middle linebacker and edge rusher, I thought they did a good job just saying like, okay, this is a position of need. On my rankings, like Bullard was around 55, 60. They got him at 58.
58.
Cooper was around. I think I had him at 39. They got him at 45. And Lloyd, I actually
Which,
have.
if you adjust the draft accordingly, like is almost spot on.
Yeah.
Probably like 39 to where he goes at 45 because of the early fuckery with all the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and then even Lloyd, I had him at 70, and they got him at 88. So like, to me, it was one of those things. Like, they did such a good job finding value and positions of need. I thought they deserved the A- grade there.
Perfect. All right, the fifth worst.
So at 5 for the worst, I'll do my quick honorable mentions, and if we want to talk about one in particular, we can. I had the Cowboys at the 8th worst, so that'd be like 24th.
You want to cook right now?
I will. I can. And then Seahawks and Titans. So do you want me to talk about Cowboys real quick before we dive into
Let it
that
fly,
top
man.
5?
Let
Okay.
it fly.
So I'll say this. I gave him a C. And the reason being is, and I tried not to do this, I just said it about the Packers, but I really tried not to say, I didn't try to take in consideration the team right now. I just tried to focus on the draft. But it was really hard I knew we were going to talk about the Packers. I knew we were going to talk about the Cowboys. Like, it was hard for me. The Cowboys don't have a very good roster. And
yeah, it's not we're not coming into this year with the typical, oh man, Cowboys got all the talent. Like, are they finally going to get it done? That's not going to be the discussion this year.
If they had 12 picks in this draft, that might be a little bit higher. They just didn't. And I like the Guyton pick at 29. It was less of a reach for me. I did not like the Nealon pick. I love the Cooper Beebe pick, the guard from Kansas State. I think he's going to be really good. And I did not like the Luafau, the linebacker from Notre Dame. I had him right around like the 13th best linebacker, and they drafted him like he was the 6th.
But he's the cousin of Puka.
Yeah, good for him. I really hope I'm wrong on him. I hope I'm wrong on Nealon too. And Nealon is in a spot where he's going to have to play. And I think with these guys, though, I think the Cowboys did try to get tougher. And that was something where I was like, okay, you've been beat up in the playoffs by the Rams. You've been beat up by the Packers. You've been beat up by the 49ers just up front on the defensive line and in the trenches. It was nice to see them be like, we're just going to go get some tough son of a bitches, and we're going to try to mull some people over and stop losing that way, which was nice. I just thought there was some value in some other spots. So I don't hate their draft. I think Guyton and Beebe could be phenomenal, but I'm still concerned with they don't really have running backs, which makes me think that they're going to go sign Zeke Elliott again.
Here we go. Zeke's back.
They didn't really address wide receiver until like the 4th or 5th round.
Oh fuck.
It's tough, and they were in a tough spot. They didn't have a ton of picks. They're kind of handicapped with Dak.
MJ, keep cooking.
Yeah.
I spilled my beer. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't.
So I gotta go get a paper towel. But
Yeah,
keep
go
cooking.
ahead.
I'll be right back.
Yep, you're in a tough spot with CeeDee Lamb wants a contract. Micah Parsons wants a contract. Dak Prescott's going to want a contract. And it's one of those things where you're sitting there and you're like, you got to pay these guys to make room, and they haven't had any room. So it's tough for me to be a little optimistic. I'm going to get some probably hate from some of our buddies like, oh, MJ just thinks the Cowboys are pieces of shit and blah, blah, blah. They're going to win 10. I think they're going to be competitive, but I'm worried. I'm worried that there's a dumpster fire ahead. So
it feels like they've been flirting with dumpster fire for a while.
I know. All right, top 5. Top 5 worst. In the 5th spot, ranked at 27, I have the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh.
I got the Cleveland Browns. So they picked up Michael Hall Jr., defense tackle, Ohio State in the 2nd round, and Zach Zinter, guard out of Michigan. I'm sorry. Yeah, a guard out of Michigan. Then that was about it. The Browns have a good roster. I'm not saying that. It was just kind of like looking down. I'm like, Michael Hall Jr. at 54, and then Zinter. Like, it was okay. It just didn't blow my mind off or anything like that. So I went with the C grade on the Browns.
Okay. All right. Don't have much to offer there.
It's okay.
I still was working through my fucking disaster over here. We'll trust your opinion, MJ, and I'm just going to believe you. The Browns, not good. All right. Fourth best now. We're on to fourth best.
Fourth best, I had the LA Rams. I thought they did a good job for having draft picks for once. I like the Jared Verse pick, especially at 19. I saw him like in some mocks at like 12, 13. Thought that was a little pricey, but I like the fifth defensive tackle from Florida State. I love the Blake Corum running back from Michigan. I thought that had good value.
I think that fits them so well too. Just as we've said a million times, I know we're not talking strictly like team fit here, more so like of a value where you rank them, but I think that's going to fit them so well.
Yeah. And I like the Cameron Kitchens, the safety from Miami, too, at 99. I don't think they reached at all on any of these guys. Maybe Verse, you could argue, needs some time. Edge rushers usually don't come in and blow the socks off the league at first. It's very rare. But if he hits, with the loss of Aaron Donald and stuff, I think the Rams did a good job. I graded them with another A- like the Packers. And their roster's good. Stafford, Puka, all those guys. I think they're going to be solid. They help themselves.
Yep. All right. Fourth worst.
I got the Buffalo Bills.
Ooh.
Yep, Buffalo Bills. I didn't understand the trade down and then down again to get out of the first round and let some receivers go, and then just to take Keon Coleman with the 33rd pick. I love Keon Coleman, but I don't know. It felt like I just didn't understand their plan exactly. Cole Bishop in the second round, I think was not the safety I'd take there if they wanted to go safety. And then Dwayne Carter, I didn't really have him in my top 100. So I thought getting him at 95, which I understand D tackles is a valued position and you got to reach on some guys. But I didn't love. I gave them a C plus.
Yeah, and for a team that I don't know, seems like they're in a weird spot. Like they've been knocking on the door for a while, and you only knock on the door for so long in the NFL.
It feels like a rebuild.
It does. That I didn't want to say that word, but because I was like, I don't know if that's the right word, but like, if you're thinking it too,
yeah. It felt like that. It felt like a team that was just like, well, we don't have a quarterback and we don't have receivers, so we're just going to try to get some picks and draft some guys to build this roster up until we can find a guy. You got Josh Allen,
right?
Like
this shit doesn't last forever.
No, so I didn't get it.
I mean, unless their thought is like, hey, we've got Josh Allen, and we can ride out a year. And Josh Allen may get us to the playoffs anyway. And then, you get into the NFL playoffs and, it's one game elimination. Everyone has a chance. Maybe that's their thought. They're like, hey, we're going to just try and ride our guy for a year. All right. So now we're back to third best.
Yep. Third best. I got the Baltimore Ravens sitting at the third place
Shocker.
spot.
The fucking Ravens drafted well.
Yeah. We talked about it, man. Like, just good players fall to them. Nate Wiggins, I had in the first round. They got him at 30. Rosengarter, the offensive tackle from Washington at right tackle, I think could really help. Adisa Isaac, the edge from Penn State, I thought was a little bit of a reach, but like third round probably is right. Even the wide receiver in the fourth round, getting him,
he just seems like a Raven already.
Yeah.
Like when I watched like the highlights of him, I was just like, oh, this fucking guy.
And
he looks like a Raven. I don't know. I was watching it for some reason at that point in the fourth round when they picked, and they were showing the highlights, and I'm like, oh, of course this guy's a fucking Raven.
And I loved, and I was really surprised, but at 130, getting TJ Tampa, I thought was awesome value. The corner from Iowa State, a fourth rounder. Like, I heard he could go as early as the late second. So to get him at, mid to late fourth, I thought was incredible. I thought they did a really, really great job to already, kind of a juggernaut at times team. So,
yeah. All right, third worst.
All right, I got the Miami Dolphins.
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't. Again, another team that didn't have a lot of picks, and I know that's easy to just pick on teams that didn't have a lot of picks, but
That's kind of how it works, though. Like, if you don't have picks, you don't have a good draft.
Yeah.
Like, I know it can kind of seem like a crutch you're falling on, but like it's just not. Like, if you don't have a lot of picks, you're not picking up a ton of value. Your picks really got to hit, and that's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah, and my highest graded player for them was Jalen Wright, the running back for Tennessee in the 4th round. I gave him an A+ for that. I had him going probably in that late second, third at latest. To get him in the 4th was good. But they're kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dolphins have some running backs. Like A-Chain and all those guys. Like, I think Mostert's still there.
He is. They were fantasy fucking killers this year. So.
I love Wright the player, but the fit's weird. Chop Robinson was probably I thought a little early at 21. And Patrick Paul, the offensive tackle from Houston, could be really good, but I gave that a D+ when they drafted him. I just thought it was a reach at 55. I just don't think they really helped their roster, especially this coming year, with a team that's has high hopes of being a deep run in a playoff team. So,
yeah, following Penn State, obviously, like I was very familiar with Chop Robinson, and I was a little not shocked, but I was a little surprised at how high he went. I thought he was going to be like that 27 to end of the first round kind of slot. So I thought that was, but hey, maybe they really like him and they really think they need him, and they went and they saw him. He was sitting there and they got him. So It's kind of the thing. Like, if you got a guy that you like in the first round, especially, like, just go get him.
Especially at those premium positions, and edge is one of those. So I understood it. I gave that a B+, but it was it just didn't feel like they really helped their roster too much.
Yep. All right, second best.
Yep. At number 2, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I gave them an A. They're one of 2 teams I think I gave just a straight A with. I love the Fautanu guard from Washington at 20. I had him maybe possibly going in the top 10. Zach Frazier, the center from West Virginia, at 51. I thought he'd go in the 30s, maybe 40s. Roman Wilson was kind of one of my, kind of like Keon Coleman. I loved him at receiver from Michigan. They got him at 84. And then the kind of a surprise, and Bill and I talked about this, and I'm not sure if Bill's going to be on with you maybe tomorrow or something, but Peyton Wilson, the linebacker from NC State, kind of fell with some injury concerns, but to get him at 98, with a team that's already pretty good on the defensive side of the ball most of the time, I thought had a lot of value there. I thought the Steelers did a great job. I think as long as Wilson or Fields doesn't kind of fuck it up on the offensive side, they could be a really good, surprising team this year. And these guys can help them right away.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, if Wilson can figure it out with some line help, they could be all right. All right, second worst.
Yep, coming in at 31, we got the Atlanta Falcons. The reason they're not my number 1 worst is I do believe that Penix Jr. can be a good quarterback. I just didn't get it, and we talked about that before. I think it's Ruke Aurora. I think, or Roro or something. The D tackle from Clemson. I don't know how to pronounce it. I thought he was a good pick at 35, especially for D tackles. But I didn't really love the edge Trice from Washington at 80 or 74. And then Dorless, the D tackle from Oregon, kind of double dipping on the D tackles in the first 4 rounds was confusing to me. We talked about this last week. The Falcons are trying to win now, and none of it really felt like these are guys that are going to help us be in the playoffs, maybe win a game or 2, and then we'll keep developing guys and really try to go for it. Maybe not this year, but next year. the Atlanta Falcons could make some noise and maybe make a run. It just didn't feel like that. And I gave them a C minus, and they're my second worst team.
Okay. Second best team.
The second best. Oh, I already did second best. It was the Steelers.
Oh, sorry. So we're on the first best.
Yep.
Yes, first best.
Yep. God.
Not first best. The best.
Damn it. All right. At number 1, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. And
that hurts you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Obviously, Eagles fans know, and everybody knows, the Eagles are really talented, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And if you probably ask anyone who watched football, the Eagles need help at linebacker and in the secondary. And, you can worry about Jalen Hurts, and I think he was a little banged up last year, and Kelsey's gone and all that stuff, and we understand that. But to get Quinyon Mitchell at 20, right? 22?
22.
Who was my favorite corner of the whole draft. And then to go get Cooper DeJean in the second round, which I thought he could be picked in the top 20. And you get him at 40.
I thought he was going to be in one of the first 2 or 3 picks in the second. When we got out of the first round, he didn't go. I'm like, oh, this is within the first 2 or 3 picks. Someone's taking him. Someone's coming up to get him.
And then, and if you take those away, you got Jalix Hunt, the edge from Houston Christian. I thought he was probably like maybe a 4th rounder, but you get him at the end of the 3rd. I really kind of like the Will Shipley running back Clemson in the 4th round, for them. So I think
they were active. If you're looking at their they were moving around to get people that they thought were the right fits for them.
So you possibly, even if you just took the first 2 rounds for the Eagles, it's an A+ draft for them. They got 2 really good secondary players that can come in and help them right now, shore up the secondary, help out the defensive line. And that defensive line's really good. And it was hard to not be like, they nailed it. And I just thought they did a good job. I hate it.
And now we go to the worst draft of 2024.
Yeah, the worst draft, I got the Denver Broncos. Another team that kind of reached on a quarterback. You got Bo Nix at 12. And then their only other pick inside the top 100 was Jonah Ellis, the edge from Utah. I thought there was some other value out there with a team that's trying to rebuild. I thought the Broncos should have moved down once McCarthy and Penix were gone at minimum. You got to get out of there and try to get some picks. They should have traded down again, and traded down again. And just maybe even got out of the first round and got a bunch of 2nd and 3rd round picks and just tried to load that team up and hope to God you hit on 3 or 4 of them and try to find your quarterback either late or somewhere else. And
yeah.
I think they're going to be bad.
Yeah, and they're so hampered because of that Russell Wilson deal. It's just they're in a bad spot, and they've also this is a little off the draft, but they've also got a guy who's come back out of retirement, in Sean Payton, who'd been out of the league for a couple of years. You wonder. It seems like the NFL gets by you quick.
Yep.
There's not a ton of success stories pulling guys back out of retirement to come in and be real successful. I'm sure there are examples, but it feels like more often than not, they come back and they're all right. They maybe breathe a little new life into the franchise, but it doesn't work out long term. It doesn't work out with a lot of success. You may improve a little bit, but you do got to wonder about that. And again, I know that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't seem like Bo Nix at 12. That hurts him. I'm in a big agreement with you there.
Yeah. And maybe we're wrong. Maybe it'll be the next John Elway. But
yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You can always look back at these things and you're like, oh, this was a fucking no-brainer at this. You can't believe this guy fell so far. And then it's oh, maybe in hindsight there was a reason. Someone fell so far or something like that. So, damn, MJ, you kill it on the draft, man.
I appreciate
you kill it, my man.
Yeah, man. It's a ton of fun. I love doing this, so it's a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me.
Is there anything else we missed? Anything else you wanted to kind of talk about, or anything we didn't discuss already?
No, I don't think so. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the rookie of the year offensively. If you can get that early on any FanDuel or DraftKings or something, lock it in. He's the best. Cowboys are going to suck, so go there under for their win loss. I don't know. I'm really excited. I love the draft, and be patient if your team wasn't on the list or we didn't talk about them. I'd say that to everybody because, like you just mentioned, 2 or 3, 4 years down the road, you could look back and be like, "Damn, that was our best draft in the last 10 years." So even though teams or people, me or professionals online, give your team a grade, it doesn't really mean shit. So
yeah, there's always the examples. They're like, oh yeah, the consensus for this draft was a C-, and there's 3 Pro Bowlers that came out of it. And then the A's, it's like, oh, they're all fucking bust.
Yep. I mean, Tyler Smith for the Cowboys got like a C draft grade, and he was a Pro Bowler. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, MJ, again, you killed it, my man. I appreciate it. Hey, I forgot to mention this last week. Last week was the 1-year anniversary of going to video for Ole Walls house, and you were back for it. So
all right.
So we've made it a year.
That's awesome.
We've even transitioned into me doing the editing, which is a scary thought. But so you were there for the first, and you were there for the 1 year, and you're back again. So MJ, I appreciate my man. I'm sure we'll be talking again kind of towards the end of the summer, maybe doing a little season preview again. That was pretty good that we did last year, I think. So I'll just leave it to you on your final thoughts, anything to leave us with.
No, you're doing a great job, buddy. Keep it rolling. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. All right, MJ, we'll talk again soon.
All right, buddy.
First time this year reporting back on the Guardians in a week where they don't have a winning record. They come in even 3-3. They get a 2-1 series win over the Red Sox early in the week, and then go 1-2 against the Braves. 2 games go into extra innings. Big Josh Naylor RBI in the Saturday game, a 4-2 victory. The Friday game got a little bit of a way for them. And then Sunday, the Sunday afternoon game, they had their chances. They take that in the extras as well. Couple of questionable base running decisions by Stephen Kwan. Really, like I said, questionable. But yeah, like I said, take 2 of 3 from the Red Sox earlier in the week. So 3-3, so not a losing week. 500. They are off this Monday evening as I record the pod, and then go into a week with some games that they should be winning. They should be coming out of this week with a winning record. They go to Houston and then come back home to host the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, formerly of California. So I don't even know what are they just the Los Angeles Angels now? Yeah, I think they're just Los Angeles Angels. But about a month into the season, Cleveland sits atop the American League Central, 2.5 game lead over the Royals, 19-9 overall, 7-3 in their last 10. Second best record in baseball, bested only by the Braves, who we just played, and kind of hung around. There was some shenanigans to get that win on Saturday night, but no other team other than the Braves has a better record than the Cleveland Guardians. How about that? So things are looking like we're all right. We're all right. Hopefully this isn't super fake. Like I said, got to pick up some wins against the Astros and Angels here. Still no Gavin Williams back. His kind of injury was further escalated, and he's gonna be out for a little bit. Cleveland's scoring some runs, which is a good sign. That's a little different than we experienced last year. Josh Naylor's having a nice start to the year, 21 RBIs. Not getting the greatest batting average from Jose Ramirez at 261, but that's actually crept up a little bit. He leads the team in RBIs, hitting a decent amount of home runs so far through 27 games. You got 6 and 5 for Naylor and Ramirez, and they're finding some homers from like a Will Brennan, a Tyler Freeman. Stephen Kwan even has 3. So, the team's been playing good. The pitching is a little worrisome. It feels like the rotation's not as deep as we hoped. Obviously, Shane Bieber being out is really detrimental to that. Tanner Bybee's been dealing. That's been nice. He's coming in with a 3.45 ERA, but 6 games, 2 wins. He's gotten 31 innings pitched. The big problem is we're not getting guys deep into the game. I mean, those 31 in the third innings is the most, him and Logan Allen. Then you're talking, Tristan McKenzie over 5 games, 22 innings is all, only 23 for Cookie, putting a lot of onus on the bullpen. So, hopefully we can get a little bit more out of the starting pitchers. I know it's just kind of how it works now that the starters don't go deep. I mean, but that said, Cleveland's in the top half in runs scored this year, which is nice. Home runs, they're probably pretty far down still, but yeah, 21st. But that's if they're scoring runs, that's a different issue all in itself. RBIs, they're 12th. So I mean, again, nothing too terrible there. Where are they ranking stolen bases? 4th with 32. Holy shit! Cincinnati has stolen 52 bases. Wowza. Here's the troubling part. Their team ERA. Okay, it's not as bad as I thought. Wait, it's pretty good. I fucked that up. I must have been reading this backward. They're 6th in team ERA, so that's good. Okay, I read that backwards when I looked at it earlier, so that's better. That makes me feel way, way better. No complete games though, so that's just, again, that's kind of baseball at large. So, big week coming up, I would say, because you gotta get 4 games this week with these two teams. The Astros are 9-19, and the Angels are 10-18, well below 500, both struggling of late. Angels 1-9 in their last 10, Astros 3-7. So hopefully you can pick up 4 wins coming out of that, if not more. A sweep in either one of those would be pretty nice. Again, we are still calling for Chase DeLauder and Kyle Manzardo to be brought up. Bring up the slaughter. So I'm calling them the slaughter. Slaughter's the baseball. All right. Go Guards. Round 2 of OWH Albums. We move on to the year 1998. The place, Detroit, Michigan. Kid Rock's Devil Without a Cause. Actually, his fourth album that he released, this album goes on to sell over 14 million copies. Wikipedia tells me the album sold over 14 million copies and was certified diamond. The album also received critical acclaim for its genre sound mixing. So this is another CD I think I stole from my brother at some point. I mean, there's a couple of songs in here that obviously are all, I mean, there's a bunch of all-timers, kind of the essence of this. But, Ball with the Ball and Cowboy were all over everything. I mean, Ball with the Ball and Cowboy were used in movies. You heard it all over the place. As, a 7-year-old kid when this came out. And, this followed me through, middle school, high school, college, today. Like, I listen to many of the songs on the CD. I will say, this isn't a straight through for me. There are some skippable ones on here, but the top end is so good that I had to do it. So obviously everybody knows Ball with the Ball and Cowboy. I mean, they're just killer songs. Just going through the track listing, Ball with the Ball is 1, 2 is Cowboy, 3, Devil Without a Cause with Joe C, 3'9" with a 10-foot dick. Oh, what a song. I Am the Bull God is a super underrated song. Next song, Roving Gangster, in parentheses, Rollin'. Not Rollin' by Limp Bizkit. But that's a skipper for me. I'm not into that. Next 2 songs, which I think are probably the 2 most underrated songs, maybe of Kid Rock's career is saying a lot, because he's got a lot of good ones. But Wastin' Time and Welcome to the Party are by far the 2 most underrated songs on this CD. The rest of the album gets a little dicey. I Got One For You is not bad. Somebody's Got to Feel This. Fist of Rage I could skip. Number 11 is Only God Knows Why. We're going to circle back to that one. That song is fucking awesome. Probably my favorite song on the CD. Fuck Off, which Eminem is actually featured in. Where You At, Rock? And then Black Chick, White Guy. Black Chick, White Guy is a better one than the other ones that I tend to skip more often. But this CD just brought the life. It just brought the energy. It was so much fun. I can't tell you how many times I listened to Ball with the Ball to get pumped up. Cowboy just fucking around. Like, just Devil Without a Cause is a great, like, working out song too. But again, the song that that's I think is the best on this CD is Only God Knows Why, and it's fantastic. And I was thinking of different. I always like I said, I wanted to relate something back to like at least a song or a moment or a point in my life when I would listen to this. And as I was thinking of this story, I guess I never sat there and thought about kind of how odd this story sounds in hindsight. But in high school, when I'd want to throw a dip in high school, you just go down to the bathroom, throw a dip in, sit there, take a shit, and have your dip. Well, if you had another buddy who had a similar study hall or a class that you were skipping out of, you go in there and you kind of hang out from stall to stall, and that's a little, that's different, but whatever. And I had a buddy, a friend of the program, Dakota Roof. Him and I would always grab an iPod dock, if you guys remember the iPod docks that were, usually about yay big, and you'd plug your iPod into the top of it. And it was speakers. We would go to the bathroom, put the iPod dock in there, and listen to Kid Rock's Only God Knows Why, while we were having a little PTDT. The oddness of that, like in hindsight to me, I was like sitting there, I was like, do I even talk about this? Like, it's a little weird, I guess, but like, fuck it. Who cares? When you got a PTDT, you got a PTDT. And when you need a little Kid Rock, you need a little Kid Rock. And Only God Knows Why is the perfect song for so many situations. Even if you're just hanging out in the shitter with your buddy. So, yeah. So that's Kid Rock's Devil Without a Cause. Just an absolute classic. Next week, I'm thinking we're going to go... I think we're going to do Eric Church, Chief. Eric Church, Chief next week is the move. All right, let's keep rolling. For some passing thoughts. I'm here. I'm ready for it. I got your passing thoughts. Quick golf thing in here that wasn't enough to do a segment on because I think I watched about 5 shots. And the only shot I've committed to memory is that Trainer of Rami and Trainer, who did start the day 7 back in the Zurich Classic on Sunday, had a putt to extend a playoff with Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry, and Trainer absolutely wiped it. They did, like I said, 7 back and shot a 63 in the alternate shot. I'm guessing Blair and Fishburne, they finished T4. They shot a 72. I would guess that's even, or is that 1? Even. That was even on the day. McIlroy and Lowry shoot a 4 under to jump up a couple spots in a pretty light field. Taylor and Hadwin, they fell 5 spots by shooting 1 under to 10th. The Fitzpatrick brothers finished T11. Connor Spencer. Where's Cantlay and Schauffele? Oof. Finished 23rd. This was like their event. Yeah. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch any of it. I don't give a shit about the Zurich. Team golf and professional golf does very, very little for me unless it's the Ryder Cup and a little bit on the President's Cup. So, one other golf thing. Someone was reporting on Charlie Woods trying to qualify for the U.S. Open. Can we not, like, I know I'm talking about him too. Not that I fucking matter. But can we just not, like, unless the kid's playing in the PNC, like the parent-child, like, why are we, like, charting around, like, a 15-year-old's, like, amateur golf career? I know he's Tiger's kid, and I know it's going to happen, but, like, do we need to? I don't think we need to, is what I'm saying. He's not putting himself out there. like, to be this. Like, he's obviously putting himself out there to compete. But, like, he's not, like, shoving himself in the media. He's not doing interviews. Like, the kid's life is fucked up enough as it is, being the son of one of the, if not the most popular athletes in America, and one of the most popular athletes worldwide. So, like, I don't know. I just don't think we need to do it. I'll stop there. I got travel stories. So I'm on the road this week. I had to do some flying. Had to get down to Savannah for a little work conference. I'm hobbled. I'm getting back this weekend. I've kind of turned the corner with my knee a little bit. I'm walking a little better. But I've been taking. There was a lot of like movement at this conference where you have to go long distances. So I took some crutches, and that gets you some advantages, some perks in the airport. I was able to board planes first. And what I realized is, I usually don't board super early. I've got enough, status with different airlines that I board in the front half. I'm not waiting till the end, but I'm never like the first one on there. So I just kind of wait till it's my turn, and when I get called, and then I walk up there. Well, what you see when you're the first person on, you see all these freaks just in a fucking hurry to get on the plane. Just an absolute hurry to rush down there and fucking just jam into this fucking plane. Like, where do we think the fucking plane ain't leaving without you if you're at the gate? If you miss the gate, they may leave without you. Like, if you're at the gate, they're not gonna fucking leave without you. Like, what is the fucking rush? Do you need to get your bag into the overhead that fucking bad? Like, if it's that much of a problem, just check the fucker, you cheap fucks. Yikes, weirdo. And United was flying United. So then they line you up. They're like, line up. And it's like, what the? And these people are like, I'm getting up there as soon as I fucking can. I don't fucking get it, man. I don't fucking get it. Thankfully, I didn't have too many standers. I got shoved all the way in the back. Told MJ I was in the back. I was talking about it with him when I was watching the draft. Not too many standers, luckily. But these fuckers were in a hurry to get on this plane. It ain't leaving without you. It ain't leaving without you. Leaving the airport, just a little quick flight down to Chicago. It was the hardest fucking seat I've ever sat in outside of a Spirit. But the leg room was nice. And then, of course, I mean, again, I'm a big dude. I could lose some pounds, but I've got pretty broad shoulders too. And, I'm thick. I'm thick in the thighs. And, of course, this fucking big motherfucker, just like me. Nothing crazy. I'll probably lose a few pounds, but just broad. And we're just fucking crammed into one of these seats. We're trying not to fucking take up too much space. Jesus. It's fucking tough. It's tough. Anything else? The United app stinks. Stinks. The United app is awful. I'm partial to the Delta app. I'm a big fan of Delta. American's app is pretty solid. I like Delta's a little more, but American's is good. I think that's more of just a personal preference kind of thing. United's stinks. Awful. United. Your app is fucking terrible. 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 Man, so bad. So bad. Oh, this was a good one from my last flight. So we land back at the home airport. Like I said, I've been crammed into the seat. We took off like half hour late, and we like basically sat in the plane and on the tarmac. So what was supposed to be like an hour gate to gate and like a 30-minute flight turns into like an hour and a half, 45 minutes. So we're landing. Like the plane's in the air. But, like, we're coming down, and I hear the FaceTime. Doot, 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 doot. And then the lady behind me answers, hello. And this younger girl answers, and, like, screaming, oh, you're on the plane. And the lady's like, shut up, shut up, shut up. It's like, bitch, just fucking don't answer. And then if you need them to shut up, just hang up the fucking phone. What is wrong with people? Why is everyone so much of a fucking lunatic? Lunatics. Oh, gosh. I watched a couple movies. On these planes. Mostly focused on the draft on the one flight, but I watched First Man with Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong. Not great. I like a good space movie. I like Apollo 13. I've told you one of my favorite shows is For All Mankind, especially seasons 1 and 2. Less so in season 3 and 4, but I digress. But yeah, First Man, not great. I mean, Gosling just doesn't speak for long portions of the movie. I guess that's kind of his go-to sometimes, that drive. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're looking for a movie, I'm not recommending First Man. And now a movie I watched for the first time ever, The Matrix. Yep, I know. I first saw the original Matrix in 2024. And woo, that could happen. That could be happening right now. I'm kind of into the simulation theory, and like I said, never seen Matrix. All I knew, I didn't know I just knew there was a Matrix. I knew the red pill, blue pill thing, and I knew the Agent Smith was like a computer generated thing. That was all I knew. So like most of it was all new to me. Like the whole thing with the robots like harvesting you, no clue. Like I didn't know anything about it. Good movie. It held up pretty good. It held up pretty good for being 25 years old. I think it's 25 years old. It's got to be. But yeah, it held up pretty good. Keanu's good in it. The one chick's hot. 1999. Fishburne slaps. Lawrence Fishburne's awesome. But yeah, I think they've made, there were two original sequels to it. And then there was like a total, not remake, but like kind of a reboot almost recently. When was that? The Matrix franchise. The Wachowskis. Cyberpunk Media. Films. Oh, so they released 2 and 3 in the same year. How about that? And then Matrix Resurrections in 2021. I didn't realize the newest one was that old already. Yeah, good movie. I stand for it. Can't believe I'd never seen it until then. It's one of those ones I was like, oh yeah, I gotta see it, and they just never have. And I don't know. I was just scrolling through HBO Max. I think it's on, looking for stuff to download for my flights, and there it was. And I was like, it's the time. Now's the time. Was in Savannah. And one of the things we did for work was like a river cruise where you ride out the river on one of these boats. Had done one of these before down in Tampa. Tampa's was cool. A little better scenery in where it was in Tampa versus where it was in Savannah. But the cool thing in Savannah is they have these giant container ships coming in and out of this river because Savannah is one of the largest ports in the world. And like also you'll just be sitting on like the patio at this hotel, and this giant fucking container ship just comes trucking along, and you're like, holy shit. And as we're on the river cruise, like we're going down the river, it felt like you could have, like, if you could run and jump, you could have hit the other ship. Like it was that close. It was wild to me. All right, last thing, got a new golf bag, so I had to switch out the old golf bag. That was a process. It's amazing the amount of shit you collect in a golf bag. Why do I have approximately 125 tees? I don't know. So I had to like organize my tees. My new golf bag has like one less zipper, one less pocket than my old one. So like I had to kind of combine something. I didn't love that, but got a nice new golf bag. My old golf bag was like 10, 11 years old. So it'd been through the ringer. So we needed it. But yeah, so I'm going through this bag. I'm like, why do I have this? Like this thing, I didn't even know I still had this. I've got approximately $3 and change. I don't mark my ball with a quarter. I have a divot repair ball fixer that's like one that I just throw in my pocket. I haven't used a quarter to mark my ball in like, I don't know, 10, 12 years maybe, if not longer. Why do I have like $5 and change in my golf bag? Did I take it out? No, just fucking put it in a bag, put a Ziploc bag in there, dumped it in. It had way more golf balls than I thought I had. I understand why my bag feels so heavy now. Oh, sorry. This was the last one. I have two more. First off, there's this gentleman in Congress. Mark Wayne Mullen, I believe is his name. Senator Mark Wayne. That's one word. Wayne is actually lowercase, so it's capital MARKWANE Mullen. I think he's a Republican from Oklahoma. Am I right? Mark Wayne Mullen, United States Senator. Yes, Oklahoma. Republican from Oklahoma. So this gentleman was caught on the Twitter world's tracking stock market. So I'll read it from Quiver Quantitative. This trade caught my eye. Senator Mark Wayne, again, one word, Mullen, just disclosed the purchase of stock in a company called Badger Meter. Badger Meter produces automated water meter technology. Automated. Thing of the future. Must be a good investment, right? The EPA has recently passed a mandate requiring utilities to upgrade to new automated water meters. How about it? He's ahead of the time. Mullen sits on the Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works. And Tulsa, Oklahoma, has just announced that they will be spending $94 million to upgrade their meters. Of course, Mark Wayne Mullen represents the state of Oklahoma. We'll keep an eye on how much money, federal money, goes to Badger Meter. These fuckers just do it out in the open. They're fucking criminals. All of them. Jesus. Oh, also, there's a thing going around that they want to raise the capital gains tax to 45%. You've already paid taxes on that money that you invest. You have paid income tax on it. You've paid sales tax if you spend it anywhere else. You pay property tax with that money that's already been taxed. But if you take your money that you've already paid taxes on to make more money, you get taxed again at 45%. Also, they're talking about tax on unrealized gains. So, if you have a stock and it increases from $1 to $2, they want to tax you on that middle dollar that you don't fucking have. So, if I have $1,000 of stock that turns into $2,000, I now owe taxes on that $1,000. Where the fuck am I getting that money from? It's so fucking dumb. Think of it in your house. Your house, if you've bought a house anytime in the last 10 years, the fucking amount of money that house is worth has grown exponentially. My house has accumulated value from 2020 in about close to 45%. I'm supposed to pay taxes on that 45%? Get the fuck out of here. These people are idiots. Idiots, I tell you. All right, now we can go wrap it up. Losing time, everybody. Just want to say thank you to everyone for watching, for listening, for hanging out. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you to producer Kevy, as always. Big thank you to MJ, the best in the biz, I say. He likes to say he's not a professional. He should be. So big thanks to MJ for doing draft preview and draft recap. So thank you very much. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up. We got more golf. We got more Guardians baseball. We got more passing thoughts. I got crazy shit in my mind. It's all going to come out on here. We got the next edition of OWH Albums. Eric Church is up next with Chief. So OWH is your promo code for Liquid IV for 20% off. We are nearing the end of that promotion. So if you're looking for your Liquid IV at 20% off, go make sure you get it in. Yeah, I think that's about it. So big thank you to everybody. And until next week, peace.